Imagine getting up every day full of energy as if you were in your 20s again. What would that be like? What would it be worth to you? What is your health worth to you? Think about it. Your health isn't everything, but without it, everything else is nothing. And yet, too many of us are taking it for granted until something goes wrong. And no one wakes up hoping to be diagnosed with a disease or chronic illness. And yet, we've never been taught how to be proactive in our health through our school or public health. As a registered health coach and integrative health practitioner, I believe it's time this information is made available to everyone. Combining new knowledge around your health and the ability to do my functional medicine lab tests in the comfort of your own home will allow you to optimize your health for today and all your tomorrows. Don't wait for your wake-up call.
Welcome back to the Don't Wait for Your Wake-Up Call podcast. I am Melissa Deely, your host, and I'm super excited about today's session because I have a special guest here for you today to talk more about sleep, which is the theme of the month. And this time we're going to be talking about her story with her own children and solutions that she has come to in helping them sleep as babies and what she now offers the world. So her name is Tara Williams. Welcome, Tara.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to dig into this conversation. It's something that we don't often talk about, but just to give a little intro to Tara before she goes into her story, is that in 2018, she tried to find a weighted blanket for her 6-month-old son so that he could safely wear it and help soothe him to extend his 1.5-hour sleep windows. And shocked there was nothing available for this age group, she decided to create her own, and the idea for Dreamland Baby was born. So I love how out of your struggle, you've created something that can help so many others. But before we go into that, I would love you to go back and tell your story as to how you came to this place. And, 1.5-hour sleep windows is so hard. And how many other parents of little ones are struggling with that right now? So yes, please share.
Absolutely. Our story, we have 4 children and our first 3 were great sleepers. So even though I was a 4th-time mom, I was a first-time not sleeping mom. So my son, like you said, was 6 months old. He was waking up every hour and a half, and just getting that little sleep for such a long time, I was truly in a survival mode. I was not a good mom. I was not a good wife. I was not a good friend. I was barely surviving. When I look back, it was really a pretty dark time for me personally and my family as well. So we had really bought everything. We had tried everything, which was frustrating because he was my 4th and we had just moved. So I had got rid of all of my baby stuff and I was not planning on buying a lot of things for him. I knew what we needed and it was the bare minimum, but we did buy everything. And one night my husband and I were just watching TV on the couch and we have this heavy throw blanket and I just laid it on top of him to comfort him, not thinking anything of it. But immediately I saw this calm come over his face and I had never seen that before, truly in his 6 months. And I right away thought, oh, he needs a weighted blanket. I raced to my computer, got on Google, looked it up and nothing came up. And then I looked on Amazon, nothing came up. So we sell weighted blankets that are in a wearable fashion. I'll grab one here. So you can see here how the baby can wear this and there are these little pockets that are evenly distributed. So there were other options that were loose weighted blankets, but in the US, American Academy of Pediatrics does not recommend loose blankets in the crib for under age 2. So I knew we needed something he could wear, like wearable. So I asked my mother-in-law if she could sew one. She's a great seamstress. And it took about 2 weeks. The first night we got it back. And this is a funny story too, because it was about 8:00 at night and I was at the gym. I'll never forget this moment. And she said, I finished the sleep sack. I'll bring it over in the morning. And I said, I am leaving the gym right now and I'm going to get it tonight. So I drove to her house. I got the sleep sack. And the first night he wore it, he slept the entire night, 12 hours straight.
Wow.
So it was such a dramatic change from 6 months of waking up every hour and a half to now sleeping a full night.
Wow.
So it was truly for our family a miracle sleep solution.
Absolutely. And so this first weighted blanket that your mother-in-law made, did it have like what did she use as the weighting for it? Since it
Yeah,
was
so
a
it's
homemade version.
actually I should find it somewhere, but it's really similar to this. So this is a pretty standard sleep sack body, and then we sewed the beads inside of it. So it's these materials are very common in weighted blankets. They're used for adults, for children. There's weighted vests for dogs. So it was obvious to me what we would need, and it's the 10% or less body weight is the safety standard. So I just did not that much research and figured out what's in a weighted blanket. And then I wanted to basically have a sleep sack with a weighted blanket mirrored on top of it. That was my idea.
Right.
So our original prototype looks very similar to what we have today.
That's awesome. And I'm really intrigued to know, how did you even know about weighted blankets prior to, putting that heavier blanket on him and then having that aha, oh my God, he needs a weighted blanket? Because when I talk with clients and a lot of people, when I do my sleep talks, people often haven't heard of them. So did you have some background that had introduced this to you?
Yeah, so in the US, they were really popular in 2017, 2018. I came up with this idea for my son in the summer of 2018. But I will say prior to that, we have a few people in our family with some different sensory processing disorder. And so my brother had used one of my nieces had used one. And so I was pretty familiar with the idea that for kids who are struggling to regulate their body movements and those sensory inputs. My niece, for example, she was taking sleep medication as a 12-year-old because she could not fall asleep. And then she was able to get off that because she could use a weighted blanket. My brother actually had used one as well. He had some different sensory things, and it just totally calmed him down. And so I had seen for these, tween young adults that it was so impactful and helpful to actually, as a non-pharmacological solution, meaning they no longer had to take medication, they could just use a weighted blanket. And then there was a Kickstarter in the US that I think they sold $5 million worth of blankets. I don't know how many blankets that comes out to be, but it was a huge phenomenon in the US. Everybody had bought them. So that was, I think it was the gift of the year in 2017-18 for Christmas. So these blankets have been used for 30 years with autism and some different sensory input disorders, but they really became mainstream. And so they were being marketed toward adults that had anything from ADHD, ADD, PTSD, insomnia, depression, anxiety, and it was saying it's a cure for everything. I wouldn't quite say it's a cure, but it can sometimes be used as a substitution for sleep aids or in conjunction with and lowering a dose of sleep aids. So it really just boomed on the scene. And I myself actually use a weighted blanket. I love something heavy on my body. And I always knew that because I love sleeping under heavy blankets. Like that would really help me fall asleep. So the concept was very obvious to me, and it was really top of mind. And then when I saw it soothe my son, I just thought, oh, he needs a weighted blanket. It's, and a weighted blanket in the sense that it's appropriately weighted for him and it's wearable, so it's safe, not like an adult weighted blanket to use with a 6-month-old. So it was just pretty top of mind for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And so because you have that experience of seeing family members use them, etc., I would love for you to actually talk about the science behind a weighted blanket and why it's so helpful, because I'm sure from your knowledge and the research that you did that you can talk to that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So it's called deep pressure stimulation. And what that actually does is it lowers cortisol, which is that fight or flight hormone. So you're really upset with somebody, your heart starts racing and you truly want to get ready to fight or run. And it lowers that. And then it increases melatonin, which we all know is the sleep hormone, which is naturally producing, and it increases serotonin. And that's the feel good or happy hormone. So when you give someone a hug, you get this immediate rush of pleasure or feeling good, a dopamine hit, if you will. So it increases those two. And that is due to the even distribution of weight. So there's receptors on your body that are all over. And if you stimulate and give a sensory input to each of those receptors simultaneously from the even distribution of weight, shoulder all the way down to toe, that is what is harnessing the power of deep pressure stimulation.
I love that. And it's actually something a little bit different to what I've heard, but totally in alignment with that. And when you were talking with the cortisol production because of fight or flight, et cetera, which so many of us are in today as we go through our busy, do days, right? And then getting the body to calm at night is quite hard, and we can be low energy through the day, but then wired at night.
Yeah.
That moving out of that fight or flight state and into our parasympathetic rest and digest state
Yes.
is, very powerful and needed if we're going to have a good night's sleep. And what I had heard, and you can tell me if you've heard this or if you believe it to be true or not, is that the weighted blanket actually also simulates the feeling that we had in the womb, that feeling of safety or comfort in the womb. So I don't know if the pressure points does that or not, and if you've heard that, but I just love that idea. Obviously, the womb is the safest place we could ever be, right? So that sense of that weight on top of us and us feeling snug underneath it to kind of take us back to that state.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is to a T what the weighted blanket feels like. From the science side is that, the hormones, what you're doing there on the cortisol and the serotonin and melatonin, but just from a truly feeling standpoint, yes, that's exactly what it feels like, where you are snug, you're cozy. And especially for babies, we're simulating that even further than with adults because it's wrapped around them. So they really are, they're already snug. And we do have a swaddle version. So you'll hear adults sometimes refer to a weighted blanket as an adult swaddle because they'll put it over their entire body. And we do have a swaddle for 0 to 6 months old. So it's spot on what you said. Yeah.
I love that. And you just answered my next question because I was going to say, how young can a baby start using these? But if you have that swaddle for 0 to 6 months, obviously right away.
Yeah. So they can start using them from birth as long as they're 8 pounds and up.
Right. I wish I had known about this when I had children. My kids are now 19 and 22.
Yeah.
But my oldest did not sleep through the night until she was 3 years old.
Oh,
And that's when she finally started sleeping through the night. I had a second. And so about a year into that time frame, I was where you were at, but I didn't know about weighted blankets to even have the idea of doing this.
Yeah.
To get her daytime nap in, I literally had to put her in her car seat around 11 a.m. every day and drive somewhere, even if it was around the block, because she would only fall asleep during the day if she was in the car.
Yeah.
It was almost as if she didn't want to miss out on anything even then.
Yeah.
And like that today.
We hear that so often that parents are driven to these desperate measures of getting in the car and driving their kids around because there is no sleep solution. Or, maybe they're putting babies in rockers and we know that's not safe for sleep. So part of why this was so exciting to me, my background is actually in the medical space, and it's bringing novel medical device products to market in a market development capacity, which is pretty niche. But so I've worked for 10 years with top academic hospitals doing some experimental things for end of life and other just bringing new products that have never been tested or used before. And so I'm really familiar with clinical trials and all the safety and the regulatory. And so I really treated this product like it was a device that was going to be implanted in a human's body, but really went at it, I think, from probably a different lens of, if I were to say, oh, I'm a mom who came up with a product and I just wanted to get it to all my friends. I really came from the sense of we need to do all of our due diligence and our research and our studies and partner with the medical community to make sure that this is really safe and that we are getting it out and we're giving the right message of who it's for and who's using it. And through that research, it was so interesting how many parents were actually using weighted components like stacking blankets or putting rice into gloves and laying them on their baby. And none of these are safe, right? Because the stacking blankets, they could migrate on the baby's face or the rice could fall on the baby's face. And so it was so important to see when a parent gets desperate, and we've all been there, then you keep the baby in the bed. And it's one thing to co-sleep if that's what you choose, but a lot of parents co-sleep out of desperation. So we looked at all the unsafe sleep practices and we realized that having a sleep solution like a weighted sleep sack could really help eliminate some of those times where parents are resorting to something that we know isn't safe and they don't want to be doing with their baby, but they're just just give me that 30 minutes of sleep. I'll do anything. So that part has been so rewarding to be able to talk to parents and see how we've helped change their unsafe sleep habits and move it to something that's safe and appropriate.
I love that. And what I really love and what is coming to me now as you tell this part of your story is that your son and his poor sleep is a gift to the world, because you have the background to be able to bring this product to the market with the ability to do all of that testing and have that understanding of all the safety protocols, et cetera, that somebody else might not have had. And
Yeah.
so I'm not, if your son was 6 months old in 2018, he's, maybe 3 now, he wouldn't understand this. But one day you can tell him his gift to the world
I
was his
know.
inability to sleep.
It has been so amazing because I actually majored in finance in college and I graduated in 2009, which was not a good time to try to go into the financial sector with the 2008 crash. And so I actually just randomly got a job in marketing at a medical device company, which set my trajectory for my job to go into the science side, which is something I would have never wanted to do or thought to do. And when I look back, I feel like everything I've done has led me to this moment to be prepared and to be able to bring this company and serve a community of parents who aren't getting sleep and help them in a safe and medical focused way, which has been just so fun for me to be able to take my experience and then parlay it into, something that I just feel like we're helping so many people.
And you absolutely are. And there's that, saying, sleep like a baby,
Yeah.
which I find to be quite funny because, we think babies sleep really well. They come out of the womb, they know how to sleep. So sleep like a baby means good sleep. But you can ask almost any parent and they know the truth that, they're sleep deprived. A lot of babies are not sleeping through the night like my daughter for a long time. So what does sleep like a baby really mean? And where did that come from?
Yeah.
And there are so many people struggling.
Yeah.
And so I really love that you have created this and are now sharing it with the world.
Yeah.
So your own experience with your own son from 1.5 hours to 12 hours, boom, first night.
Yeah.
Did that continue forevermore after that? And you've never looked back?
Yeah, he's actually in a nap right now as we speak, and he's wearing our large. So we just keep making bigger sizes for him because he loves it. I think one point that you made was they're born with the innate desire or innate need to sleep, but not the skill set to do it. It's very similar to how when we first feed a baby, we put the baby food in their mouth and they spit it out. They don't know how to ingest it and swallow it. But it is a natural ability to eat, of course, but there is an element of training. So our sleep sack, is not going to be a miracle solution if you are nursing your baby to sleep or rocking your baby to sleep. You need to also be following other sleep appropriate guidelines. So for my son, we were doing all of the things. We had the blackout shades, we had the white noise machine, we were putting him to sleep in his crib awake. We were trying to give him the tools to be able to understand how to fall asleep. And then during the night, he could resettle himself. And these are all the things that sleep consultants will advise you to do. And he needed just something a little bit more. So every time he was waking himself up, he wasn't able to settle back. And it really took him a very long time to fall asleep also. And so for him, the sleep sack, it was just that little extra that he needed. And I would say about 50% of our babies see a very similar first night, this incredible sleep that the parents are shouting from the rooftops. I can't even believe this happened. And another half we see takes about a week where they actually need to acclimate to the weight. And this is typically our older babies, like 8 months plus, because they have, number one, not been sleeping great for such a long time. And then number two, they are old enough and aware enough, like, hey, something different is on me. What is this? So we do actually sometimes even see like the first night, not a lot, but sometimes could even be a worse sleep because the baby's like, what is this? It's something different. But we do see I would say about 95% of our babies, we see a sleep success by 1 week. Now, it's not going to work for 100% every single baby. We do have some that, try it. It's just didn't work. And typically those are the babies who are being nursed to sleep or rocked to sleep, or, the parents do the ninja move where they put the baby in a sleep and they crawl back out. And then those babies, they don't have the skill set to be able to put themselves to sleep. And so when they wake up in the night, they're looking for that same sensation, if that's to be rocked or fed or held, to get them back to sleep. So we really try to educate parents, and that is a pillar of our company. A cornerstone is that safe sleep education, but then also just sleep education. I mean, I remember when I first started this, I got an email from a parent and she was so disappointed. It did not work for her. And she said, my 1-month-old baby is not sleeping through the night. And I said, okay, well, we need to readjust expectations. You need to feed your baby when they're 1 month, and we can't expect that a 1-month-old is going to sleep 12 hours. So it's really helping to find parents understand at what age should they be sleeping? How many hours is that? At a 1-month-old could sleep a 4-hour stretch, but they cannot sleep a 12-hour stretch without feeding. So really helping new parents and new moms and dads who are just sleep deprived, and they're saying, everyone else's kid is sleeping, why isn't mine? So we've really done a huge push on the education, and we write tons and tons of blog posts to help parents. And we bring sleep consultants on all the time, just to share awareness and education and help with community, where those parents, especially in 2020, and even rolling into now, where new parents aren't able to meet other friends or other parents, we're trying to create a community where they can speak to each other, and they can say, oh, my baby, isn't sleeping at 1 month. Oh, neither is mine, but they're getting 4 hours of sleep and they were only getting 2 before Dreamland Baby. That's a huge success for a 1-month-old. So it's really understanding, how much should your baby be sleeping, when can you start sleep training, when should you see these big milestones, and when are you going to see sleep regressions? We always hear about the 4-month one, but there's an 8-month, there's a 10-month, there's a 12-month. Pretty much anytime a baby takes a big jump in learning something new, then their sleep is negatively affected. And then how do we work through those and get back to our great sleep? So Dreamland Baby is definitely a great tool in the tool set, but there's got to be some other sleep things that are put in place too.
Well, I love all of that. And I love that you offer all of that. So you're not only offering the, weighted sleep blanket, cover for baby, but you're also offering all of that education for parents. And that's so important. And often in my work, when I'm talking about sleep, I'm talking to adults who are struggling to sleep,
right,
and talking about the fact that we aren't taught how to sleep. There isn't a class on how to optimize your sleep in most cases.
Which there should be.
There should be. And I actually offer one.
I love it.
Because in our modern world, we've just developed these habits that are negatively impacting our sleep, and we don't realize it, right?
Yeah.
And because we don't realize it, we don't see a need to change, and we don't correlate our poor sleep with what I'm doing over here, what I'm eating, when I'm eating, how much time I'm spending on screens, how much coffee I've had during the day, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so it is really important at any age to be teaching these skills in optimizing sleep, whether that's that little newborn that can get themselves back to sleep in their crib within the, comfort of their blanket, or whether it's an adult who didn't have that because your business didn't exist back then, but now they're needing to learn how to sleep. And so having this information and education is so important. And it's not only about having that education, but then putting that into place and having the comfort and the tools, and that weighted blanket being one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a company and a founder of a mom who's been there, like I emphasize with all the parents who are buying this, we do have a lot of people who buy it preemptively saying, I work full time, or I have other kids that I'm trying to get off to school. I don't even want to mess around with trying something different. But we'll get a lot of parents who don't come to us until they are at that 4 to 6 month where they're just desperate. And they're like, we've tried everything. I haven't heard of this before. Now I want to try it. And we really want to focus on being there for customers before, during, and after the sale. And that's so important to me, that they feel completely taken care of throughout the entire journey of the purchase and their sleep. I look back on that time in my life, and with my first 3, I loved the first 6 months. It was some of my favorite. And with my son, gosh, it makes me feel sad to say, but I really did not enjoy that time. And it was really sad because he was my 4th baby and I wanted to savor every moment, but I just kept wishing, please let this pass. Like, I can't wait to be done with this because, and so we want to have every parent have a great experience from the time their baby's born, and it goes by in a blink of an eye. So for them to be able to not be, bleary-eyed and delirious, but to be able to enjoy it. And that is such a mission for me. And I know when I'm very into personal development and personal growth and really being your best. And I believe that all starts with sleep. And so if you aren't getting a good 8 hours of rest, there is no way you can accomplish, I think, anything else really in your life of the goals you want to set, because sleep is so fundamental to really being alert and mentally sound and there and plugged in. So it's such an honor for me to be able to have a product that helps parents enjoy that time in their life and really be their best and be able to push themselves and their goals for their family because they're well rested.
I love that. And you actually answered my next question right through that dialogue there, which is, how critical is sleep? It is so important to our ability to function. Yeah. And, right from babyhood and up, the child that isn't getting enough sleep at night and then has to go to school and be expected to focus and learn in the classroom, it's really tough on them if they're just not getting good quality sleep. Same as you were saying, when you were so sleep deprived, you weren't a good mom and you weren't a good wife and you weren't a good friend. That for those people struggling with sleep, whether they're, an adult or a child, they don't feel able to function as their, complete whole selves.
Yeah.
That's
and like you said, even with adults, I mean, I think people just think, well, this is status quo. My baby isn't going to sleep for 3 years. And that is not normal. Like, your baby can sleep through the night as early as, 4 to 6 months. So, and how do we define through the night? Is that an 8-hour period, 10 or 12-hour period? It's a little different for every family, but people just accept it. And then they'll turn to different things like, melatonin's okay, but maybe you're taking an Ambien every night, or you're drinking coffee throughout the day because you just can't, get your thoughts together, or you're just tired all the time. And so having, even for adults, like just recognizing I do need 8 hours of sleep and taking a course like the one you have. I mean, that I want to sign up for that. That sounds amazing.
And, one of the things that I do is asking adults to schedule their day around their sleep. So often we are squeezing our sleep as we try to get more and more out of each day, but we will actually be able to perform better and get more done and be less in overwhelm and better able to concentrate when we have that sleep. And so starting with, what time do I have to get up in the morning? And then back that so that your bedtime routine, which is something else I always teach, is not just for children, but for adults as well, so that you're starting to calm your mind and your body in enough time to be in bed for lights out, to have that 8 hours.
Yeah. I love that. And it's interesting because the concepts are really all the same for babies, children, adults. I mean, they're all the same principles. We actually came out with a weighted blanket the beginning of this year, and it's for children 3 to about age 8, depending on their height and weight. Mm-hmm. And that has been so huge for those parents that it's something that we've been asked for pretty much since we launched. Like, oh, I have a 6-month-old and your product was amazing for it. What about my 4-year-old? So that's been so rewarding. But just going back to it, it's the same thing. It's like these kids aren't sleeping, they're not functioning. My son, he literally cried all day long. I mean, he was fussy and upset, and now looking back on it, I'm like, he was overtired. But he was one of those nightmare babies. One of the babies that people say, I am done having kids because I can never do this again. And it really all went back to his sleep, because as soon as he was getting good sleep at night, he started taking great naps. He started eating really great. His weight shot up. I mean, he was just becoming this healthy, happy little boy. And it all started with sleep. So that was just so great as a parent to see. And then for me, after sleeping through a night for a couple nights, I was like a new, renewed person. And, was back to myself, where I felt like I had time to interact with friends, and I was going to the gym again. I was getting dressed and just like feeling and being myself. It was such a great time for our family.
And that is the beautiful thing about the human body, is that it is incredibly resilient. And when we give it what it needs, how quickly it can bounce back. Yeah. But again, showing how important sleep is, because without it, you were, a shadow of yourself,
Totally.
and then just a few nights of sleep and you can feel like yourself again and get back out and resume life and enjoy your son, enjoy life, and the whole family benefits.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I love all of that. So is that the age that your sleep sacks go up to now, is for up to 8-year-olds? Or I guess that's a blanket at that point rather than a
Yeah,
sack.
so we have the sleep sacks from 0 to 24 months, and we're actually releasing a 24 to 36 month because we keep getting requests for that. And then we have the weighted blankets start at age 3 because that's when you're out of the crib and they're loose.
Right.
So baby needs to be appropriate weight and then have the ability to take the blanket off themselves, which most kids can really do at about age 2. But we really recommend you wait till they're 3 and they're out of the crib and they're in their own bed. Maybe they're getting up to the bathroom at that point. So they can really easily get the blanket on and off themselves. And then my kids, so I have a almost 3-year-old and then 6, 7, and 8-year-old. All 4 of them use the weighted blanket. In fact, me and my husband both have them too. They are 4 pounds, but for an adult, like they're great just to lay right on top of your torso. So we have so many floating around my house. Everyone's always fighting for one. And they're really unique because we line them in satin and we used really high quality fabric. So there are a lot of children's weighted blankets on the market, but these are super high quality. They will last for years. The craftsmanship is excellent and they are buttery soft with the satin edge. So the kids just love rubbing that satin against their face. So we really wanted to make it just something that they can enjoy for years to come and you can pass down through kids. And we're now getting requests to go the next size up to make, for that 8 to 12-year-old. So the neat thing about having an e-commerce business is we only ever create stuff that our audience or followers or, customers ask for. So it's really neat just to see, like, we keep getting these same requests over and over, like, let's roll that out because that's what people want. That's what they're looking for. So I think with the weighted blankets, there's definitely a lot of education to come. People still haven't heard of the concept of weighted blankets, but it's becoming, each 6 months I do this. It's like more and more people understand what it is, and they're not saying like, I don't get it. What is the weight for? What's the idea behind it? They're saying, oh, I've heard of that for an adult, or I have one, or I've used one, or I've gifted one, and that totally makes sense for a baby. You'd actually think babies would be the first to use these. And in the NICU, in fact, they have been using weighted components for about 30 years. I mean, this is not a new concept at all. They fill either like a glove with rice, or they use, I think they're called like frog things. It's essentially like a little bean bag that they lay on the baby's chest in the NICU, because it helps them feel grounded and comforted and, decrease cortisol, increase serotonin and melatonin. So for these babies that are underdeveloped or they're sick or they have something going on, I mean, that's huge to their development. And studies have shown that over and over, and like they've been used forever. So it was really bizarre to me that nobody had brought a product like this to market. But it's a great opportunity. We're the first, and, we're giving all that education, and we have a patent pending on them. So we're in a really cool spot with it to be able to do education. And we have partnered with hospitals across the United States and some really big academic hospitals that are using this for kids recovering from a Berlin heart procedure, children with chronic illness or cancers that are getting pain medication, infants born with neonatal abstinence syndrome, really anything that can take down the amount of pain medication that they're being administered. This, again, is that non-pharmacological solution where we're not going to necessarily eliminate pain medication, but we can drastically reduce it and then use the weighted blanket as a substitute. So getting kids out of NICUs or hospitals faster and on less drugs. So it's just so rewarding. And I truly, every day I tell my husband, like, how did I get so lucky to think of this and be so blessed to be able to partner with these hospitals and take my background and bring it forward to, the non-medical community and help so many parents. So I just feel so lucky to be able to do it.
And I absolutely love that you have done that, and that you are, now looking to be partnering with hospitals for all of those reasons, because we also now have so much understanding around the gut microbiome and the crucial development of that for children between ages, from birth to about age 3. And if those kids are on a lot of medications in that time frame, it's really damaging the health of their gut, which can set them up for other illnesses later in life. And so if just using something as simple as a weighted blanket can lower the doses of those medications, then not only are they getting out of NICU or hospital sooner now, they're also doing less long-term damage for their future health as well. So it's incredibly powerful. So I've loved all of this. I have a weighted blanket. I love my weighted blanket. Going through menopause, of course, I also have hot flashes at night, which, so I have this, the silk cover, the cooling cover for mine.
Yeah.
We gave one to my mom for Christmas, and she's in Australia, and hers has a cooling cover on one side and then a warming cover on the other, which is also interesting. And she loves hers. And I just wish I'd known about this for my kids all those years ago, but it's never too late, right? Now I can gift them to others, recommend them to others. And there's parents watching this that can, benefit from it right now, or share with friends of younger children that can benefit. So I really love our time together in this discussion and everything that you've done, because it can help so many, because as we come back to, sleep is so critical for baby, child, and adult. I can see when you were talking earlier about you keep creating things as you get asked, because it's an e-store. I can see kids going off to their college dorms with their weighted blankets, right? That could be in your future, and you could, even have fun decorations on them or customized decorations. There's all sorts of things where you can take this.
Yeah.
But just as we wrap up today, I think you've really talked about, your ideal client, of course, is anybody with a young child struggling with sleep. Is there anything more that you want to add to that, though?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really for pretty much anybody. In fact, we had one hospital in Colorado that just purchased 50 of them, and they are giving them out to all parents when they have a baby. So they had them in their NICU for babies who are born with NAS, which is neonatal abstinence syndrome. So they're born in utero. Their mother was doing a drug from, could be opioids or heroin, anything really. And so when the baby is born, they are addicted and they're withdrawing. So that's it's a difficult time. And to have the weighted blanket was super helpful. So they saw how helpful they were in the NICU. And then they actually had a mom who had a C-section and was just having a really hard recovery, like couldn't hold her baby. The baby was crying. The mom was super stressed out. And they said, hey, try one of the weighted blankets. And the baby was above 8 pounds. So try one of the weighted blankets with this newborn who has no condition, right? No NOS or anything. And it was so helpful for the mom. It calmed the baby down. And she was singing praises. She was like, everybody should have one of these. And so they did decide that they are giving them to all moms who have a baby in their, in their facility. And they're going to send them home with them as a gift from the hospital. And so they felt that it was really just setting parents up with a tool to help them make that transition from the hospital home. So I love that. And that would be a dream come true for every hospital to have them and be able to, if we could financially figure that out, have them send them home with parents. So then there's none of this unsafe sleep practice happening. Like we can really set them up for safe sleep success right out of the gate. So that was super cool hearing that and being able to partner with that hospital. And that would be my dream, to be able to partner with all hospitals for, babies with conditions and non-conditioned babies as well.
I love that. And in addition to that, even maybe reaching out to the pre-birthing classes and letting parents know when they're going to those classes and learning about it, to also add this as a tool that's available to you to help. And so there's a lot of that in Canada that I can connect you with people where I
love that.
Great benefits. So yeah, I would love to do that too.
Cool.
And so what does "don't wait for your wake-up call" mean to you? Just shifting gears, that's the name of the podcast, and I would love your take on that.
Well, I mean, me personally, it was when my son was 6 months old, my husband was laid off from his job of 15 years the day before he was born. And I was with a startup company that actually shut their doors while I was on maternity leave. And I was interviewing for other jobs. And when I came up with the idea for Dreamline Baby, And my husband said to me, no, like you have to go get another job. We have no money. It was not the right time to start a business. But I look back and I just felt inside me this, you have to do this and you have to do this now. Like people understand it. And if you don't do it, someone else is going to do it. And you are so equipped to have your medical background and be able to bring this forward. So my, don't wait moment is just, I think a lot of women have a great idea and they say, well, the timing isn't right, or the circumstances aren't right, or I don't have the money. But I think if there's a will, like you'll find a way. And that's what I did. And I think just pursue, if you see an opportunity in front of you, whatever that is, if that is your health or if it's to work out, to take that opportunity when you see it.
I love that. And as you say, it can apply, to business, to health, to in all realms of life, right? Sometimes we waste time waiting for the perfect time, and the perfect time never comes. And then we miss the opportunity and live in regret versus stepping into it now. You get to, move forward, and then there aren't regrets. There's just growth and learning and all good things, right? So I love that. And what message would you like to leave with the audience to inspire them to take action in their health journey?
I think for me, I'm somebody who just in the last few years has really said, I need to take a step back, and before I can care for everyone else, I have to take care of myself. And I used to burn the candle at both ends. I'd be up until midnight and I'd wake up at 5. And I've really said I am at my best when I sleep a full 8 hours. I cannot, like 8 to 9 hours. I unfortunately need a lot of sleep, but really doing that. And then just, I think, drinking your water and eating healthy and just making small steps every day. You don't have to go run a marathon, but can you move your body for 30 minutes every day? So I personally have leaned into those things. And I think it's set me up to be a better mom and friend and wife. I mean, all those things, and be alert and concentrated to build my business. So I think really taking care of ourselves first as moms, especially because we take care of the needs of everyone else around us before our own. And then we can take care of our babies. I love that when you travel on a plane, they say, put your mask on first before you help your kids. And I think we should look at that from our health and wellness and sleeping patterns as well. Take care of yourself first, and then you can take care of everyone else.
100%. I fully agree with you. And I have a mantra that I learned probably only 5-6 years ago. And I wish I'd known it when my kids were little too, but we all keep moving forward one step at a time, right? And that mantra is completely aligned with that. It's that self-care is the most selfless act because it allows you to show up and give the world the best of you instead of what's left of you.
And I love that. Yes.
Self-care can be sleep. It can be many things, but sleep is definitely one piece of that. So I love that. So I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation today. I definitely want to stay connected too, because I think there's lots that we can collaborate on. But before we go, can you please share with the audience how they can get in touch with you and anything else you would like the audience to know?
Yeah, so we're most active on Instagram and Facebook, and that's Dreamland Baby Co. is our handles. And then our website is dreamlandbabyco.com. And really exciting, we just as of this week now have a fulfillment center in Canada. So you can, I know this has been a long time coming for our darling Canadian customers who have waited up to 2 weeks and paid so much money for customs and duties and on all the things to ship it. But now you can get it in, and we fulfill from right by Toronto, Vaughan, Canada.
Okay. Yep.
So I think they actually have a same-day delivery program if you're in that area, but you can get it within just a couple days, and it's inexpensive by Canadian Post. So that is so exciting for us, and it starts literally this week. And then we do ship internationally to everywhere in the world. And anybody in the US, we do 2 to 3 day shipping. It's a flat $7 fee, or if you are over, I think $100, it's free. So we really are just so excited about Canada, because we were always hearing, oh, it costs too much to deliver, or it takes too long. So we're so excited for that. And yeah, I think that's all. I'd love to give you like a discount code for everyone who's following for a
That
show
would be
note.
fabulous. Yeah, I
Yeah,
can put that in the show notes. So yes,
perfect.
do that. I think
Yeah,
people would love that.
I would
And
love that.
yeah, anybody who hasn't experienced a weighted blanket at all, I highly recommend them. And, if you're going to get it for yourself as an adult, why wouldn't you get it for your children? Or if you're getting them for your children, why wouldn't you do it for yourself too and have the whole family sleeping better, which, lowers stress overall, lowers overwhelm, and just has you feeling, more vibrant and vital as you go through life every day. It's a wonderful tool to accentuate sleep. And so many people struggle today. So here's one option for you. And I hope that you will reach out and, buy on Dreamland Baby Co.
Yeah, and give us your feedback and talk to us on, social media. We love hearing from our customers. It's the heart of everything we do.
Well, thank you so, so much for joining me. And to my listeners, tune in to the next episode where I actually start talking weighted blankets for adults among some of the other steps that you can be using to improve your sleep in terms of comfort in the bedroom and a myriad of other small baby steps that you can take and start implementing right away. So until next time, thank you for joining the Don't Wait for Your Wake Up Call podcast.